Hey, wait a second, it's not Wednesday. What are we doing the weather show? There must be something headed our way. That's right, we are watching Debbie. Good evening to you. Thanks for spending part of your day with us. We are usually on Wednesday nights with the weather show. And we welcome all weather aficionados, weather wannabes, or just weather wanna-knows. And you want to know what's going on in the weather. Usually we're on Wednesdays, but we're going to do it every night this week, at least Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Thursday, as Debbie rolls through and give you an update on what is headed our way. Now, we do the show a little differently. So if you're just joining us for the first time, we will do a forecast to start. We've got viewer mail dealing with how much rain's headed in. And we'll also talk about all the watches, warnings, and advisories in old school weather. But let's check the three things we're watching tonight. Our three big things from big weather. Number one, flood watch. That is through Friday, and we'll talk more about that, show you the counties in just a moment. Two, heavy rain is headed in. That's why we have the flood watch. When we say heavy rain, we're not just talking an inch here or an inch there. We're talking half a foot of rain headed in. Yeah, a lot of rain headed in. And gusty winds too, although hurricane force winds will stay away. So that is some good news. Let's show you that flood watch first. This is in effect from tomorrow, Tuesday, all the way through Friday. Remember, a watch means we're watching the situation. Doesn't mean we're going to see flooding, but it means the potential is there to see flooding. We're going to break down why that potential is so high as we go along over the next 10 to 15 minutes. But that flood watch does include Raleigh, Sanford, Fayetteville. It does not. It's easier to tell you the counties it doesn't include: Chatham, Alamance, Orange, Person, Granville, Vance, Warren, Northampton, Halifax, and also Mecklenburg County. Everybody else under that flood watch. And we're watching for it over the next several days. Now, we are seeing a few pockets of rain out there tonight. As the sun goes down, our First Alert Doppler network will see the rain go away. This is more instability in the atmosphere, but this rain is being caused by this system and Debbie as it continues to roll through. And just a reminder, if you have problems with color vision, in the old days it was called color blindness, and you have problems with red and green, we have a special radar set up for you right now at abc11.com/weather. If you just go to that, you can check out weather, and it's all done in blues and yellows. It makes it easier to see. And there's not much to show you tonight, but I promise over the next several days, this is going to get a lot of use. Our radar is as those showers work through. Now, satellite radar composite just shows the spotty showers around here. Look down to the south toward Wilmington, though. They're already seeing some of the rain bands work through, and if we zoom it out, the center of circulation is running right along the Florida-Georgia line. Not the country group, but the actual Florida-Georgia line. And as this spins down here, it's drawing that moisture up. It's been raining all day in Charleston. Light to moderate, but Charleston, South Carolina is going to see heavy rain and could see days of heavy rain, and they have the potential to see not inches of rain, feet of rain in parts of South Carolina. This is the initial track. Now, this is the track from the National Hurricane Center. We're just looking at the center track. We're going to expand it in a little bit. But with their latest update, they show it working off the coast around Hilton Head and sitting out here for a long time off the coast of Charleston. Why is that important? It's going to throw rain just at the East Coast and continue to rain at the East Coast. Then it meanders back right across our area. Here's Fayetteville, comes into the Sandhills, and because it's going to be in the Sandhills longer, the potential is there to see several inches, 8 to 12 inches of rainfall in Robeson County and also down in Bladen County. And then it finally works across us just as an area of low pressure. It's weakening. It's no longer a tropical storm, but it works across North Carolina. Now, here is the update from the National Hurricane Center. And it's going to show you that same red line we just did. That's the yellow line here. By Wednesday, it's off the coast of Charleston. But what people need to realize and what you have to remember is this is called the cone of uncertainty for a reason. Everybody focuses on that red line or that center line, but it could end up anywhere in this cone. And if we run this ahead so that it goes across North Carolina, you'll see Friday at 2 o'clock, it positions it somewhere between Fayetteville and Raleigh. That's the center line. But it could be anywhere along this axis. So it could be over on the Tennessee border, or it could be out along the coast. A lot of question marks remain with the path of Debbie. It finally goes up toward Norfolk, and the Delmarva Peninsula is an area of low pressure exiting the region on Saturday, and we actually see a nice weekend shaping up across the area. This is the spaghetti model, and I show this to you because it's a mess. Normally, when it has a good idea of where a storm is headed, each line on here indicates a model. And so I'm told my mics are being kind of funny. Thank you. My director's telling me, so I'm going to move my microphone here, see if that makes it a little bit easier to hear. Okay, back to the spaghetti plots. And you will see down towards South Carolina and into Georgia, East Georgia, Savannah, the models are pretty tightly packed. Those lines are packed together. But then it looks like a plate of spaghetti. And you'll notice that it just spreads out. And that's because the models really aren't sure where this thing is going to go. Some of them think it'll travel back here to the west. Some of them keep it off the coast. And there are lots of question marks. So just know that the forecast I'm giving you tonight is going to change. I'm not saying it might change. It will change. And we may not get certain rain amounts, or we may get more rain amounts depending on this path. But as of Monday night at 7:06, this is our best guess as to what is coming based on all of the data. Now, the heavier rain bands start to work through tomorrow. This is your first alert predictive forecast model. And as we go through the day tomorrow, you'll notice 11 a.m., 1 or 2 spotty showers. But watch what happens in the afternoon. Those rain bands really start to work north. And by this time tomorrow night, when we're on for the Weather Show Tuesday edition, I do think we will see rain working through, and then the heavier rain from Sanford on down toward Fayetteville and off toward Clinton, and then that just presses through. We'll see these bands of rain starting tomorrow night that stick around all the way through Thursday or Friday. Here is the European model. This is Tuesday at 6 o'clock. The low is still down here. The center of circulation is still to the south. Here's Raleigh. It's throwing that heavy rain at us. And the low kind of meanders off the coast, and then it kind of wanders back to the west. But the whole time it does, we're seeing green. We're seeing rainfall. And we're in that potential for rainfall and heavy rainfall at times. And then it finally pulls out of here as we head toward the weekend. Here are the wind gusts, and this is just one model. And we're only going to run it out a little ways because they really lose accuracy as you go out further. But you'll notice this is tomorrow night around 7 o'clock. It's still showing just 10 to 15 mile an hour wind gusts here in the triangle. Down toward the coast, Myrtle Beach has a 30 mile an hour. And because this thing's just going to sit down there, Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Wilmington, they're going to see 30, 40 mile an hour gusts. We stay in the 15 mile an hour range until the center of circulation starts to get a little closer. And then this is Wednesday at 6:30, so 48 hours from now. It does show Fayetteville starting to see some of those 30 plus mile an hour wind gusts. And then eventually we could see 40 mile an hour wind gusts depending on the path of it. Ocean temperatures are playing an important role. This is coming off very warm water. That's why it was able to intensify very quickly and become a Category 1 hurricane as it hit Florida. The good news for us is that if it follows this path, it's over 70-degree waters instead of 80-degree waters. 80 degrees is that magic number. Just like when you get in a car, you have to put gasoline in it, or you have to put electricity into it to get the car to go. For a hurricane or for a tropical system to stay strong, its gasoline is 80-plus degree ocean temperatures. Right now it's close, but it's 79 down off the coast of South Carolina, off our coast, 76 degrees. So that will help to hold this down, not let it strengthen back to a nasty hurricane as it works through the ocean temperatures. And then this is wave height, not really a factor for us up here, but I find this really interesting. And because the weather show, we really try and break it down for you and show you some of the things we're looking at. When you start to see yellow, that's 12 to 14 foot seas. So here's Savannah, Georgia, here's Charleston, here's eastern North Carolina. Watch the wave heights. They just stay nasty off the coast of South Carolina. That is going to throw a lot of water. So not only are they going to see feet of rain possibly in Charleston, they could see a 14-foot seas off the coast and pushing in a storm surge that's going to be problematic. And the possibility of devastating flooding in the low country of South Carolina is real. And so those folks are really in for a time over the next couple of days. Now, if you watch the weather show, we always do the forecast about this time, so you can get the forecast, and if that's all you're here for, no problem. But I want to tell you, we've got some interesting segments still coming up. But tonight we'll see lows into the 70s across the area. Tomorrow, 83 degrees. Not a ton of sunshine this week. The good news is those clouds are really going to hold those temperatures down. So we see mostly cloudy skies hanging around. We see the showers developing as we head through the day like we showed you on the model. You're dry to drive to work tomorrow, drive home from work tomorrow. Unfortunately, that's going to be a wet one. And then your 7-day forecast powered by AccuWeather Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. All 3 days are first alert days. not because of anything we're sure of, but because the potential is there to see that flooding. We have that flood watch in effect Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we've kept those all first alert days because of Debby and the heavy rain that we'll work through. By Saturday, showers are starting to exit the region. And look at Sunday into Monday. It's bright, it's blue, and temperatures are in the mid 80s. Let's do some old school weather. Now, if you're new to the show, I like the bass. Old school weather is where we actually look at weather maps, where the high is, where the low is, where the fronts are. That type of weather that you might have watched in the 90s on cable TV, right? Well, let's zoom down into the big system we're looking at first. This is the low pressure. I'm not sure why the L's not on there, but you can see these dotted black lines. Those are troughs. They're upper level disturbances that are rotating around this area of low pressure. And this low pressure is Tropical Storm Debby, expected to go up. Now, as these disturbances kind of swing through, they're like the spokes of a wheel. And each disturbance swinging through can bring rain, and as you get closer to the center of circulation, it can also bring tornadoes and spin-ups of tornadoes. So we will be watching for that over the next several days. It's going to run into a cold front that is sagging south. This is the big question. How far south is this cold front going to get before Debby runs into it? Because a cold front's kind of like a wall. And if you run a car into a wall, it's going to bounce off, right? Hopefully. Or it'll break through, depending on the strength of this wall. Well, as this cool front drops south and that low runs into it, it could kick it back out to sea. And so where this low and this cold front interact, we've got a little area of high pressure kind of between the two at the moment. But as that cold front drops south, that's what we're watching. By the way, everything out here, look at all these highs, lows. It's a mess over the mountains. There's a big stationary front out over the Rockies. That's going to stay there because when we get a system off the tropical system off the East Coast, it's kind of like just putting a cork in the bottle. It stops everything else from flowing east. And until that low clears, they're just going to see kind of messy conditions out in the Four Corners region. As far as warnings go, they have tropical storm warnings down to the south. Right now, this has been extended. This happened about 5 o'clock this afternoon. The National Hurricane Center issued a tropical storm watch that extends from just north of Charleston through Myrtle Beach, all the way up to Surf City in North Carolina. A watch means we're watching the situation. The potential is there to see tropical storm force winds. Doesn't mean we will, but they're watching. Where it's orange, Charleston on south, that is a warning, and they will see tropical storm force winds. Notice, if it were a hurricane watch or warning, it would be purple or red. We're not seeing any, and the good news is this will not strengthen back to a hurricane, so we don't have to watch out for any of those. But they're seeing all kinds of flash flood warnings right now down in parts of Florida. Here's Jacksonville, Valdosta, Georgia, Daytona Beach and Orlando are to the south, Savannah's up to the north. Ginger Z from ABC News is in Savannah where the heavy rain is at the moment. And they've got all kinds of flash flooding issues already with this system. If we zoom up to our area, there are still some flash flood warnings down towards Savannah. We're not seeing any warnings around here, and we won't for a while. It will take a while for those showers to work through. And then along this boundary, there's actually a tornado warning out here in Minnesota and a severe thunderstorm warning down here west of Chicago. This is part of that cold front that's dropping south. And as that cold front drops south, that could trigger some showers and some thunderstorms. And it could also push that system out to sea. How about we do a little viewer mail? Anna, our great director behind the scenes, has music for everything. And viewer mail coming to us today. I got this in my email today. And it's from Jerry in Apex. He writes, big weather. How much rain are we really going to get? Well, let's talk about what the models are showing and how much rain is headed in, Jerry. First of all, we'll look at the European model. And it's the one that's putting out some big rainfall amounts. Look at Lumberton, 9.4 inches. You can see anywhere where this white area is, that's 7 or more inches of rainfall. So down on the Sandhills, you could be over 8 inches, 9 inches. Raleigh is showing 6.2 inches. And then those totals even stay up around 4 inches out toward Greensboro, Salisbury. That is the European model. Remember, we never look at one model. A model is like a tool we use to build a forecast. If you are building a house, you have to use a hammer, you have to use a saw, you have to use a screwdriver. Use tools. We use tools to build our forecast. I showed you the European first because it's showing 6.25 inches of rain in Raleigh. Now let's look at the American model. And the America model for the same time, instead of 6 inches, it's showing 1.5 inches. Okay, and down in Lumberton, it's just showing 3 inches and 4 inches down the coast. So, and then Roxborough keeps less than 1 inch. That's why over the next couple of days, people who aren't respectable, they just want clicks, will tweet out models. And they'll say, look at this. North Carolina is going to see 9 inches of rainfall. They're showing you one model. And that's clickbait. They just want your clicks. They just want you to go to their website. Don't do it. Hopefully you find ABC 11 respectable, but find a respectable weather forecaster you trust. That's who you follow on social media. I will never put out just one model. I may put out 3 or 4 so you can see the differences. I'll tell you what, one of the folks you may want to, some of the folks you may want to follow on social media, Weather Prediction Center. That's part of NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And this is their forecast, and they have upped it to 8 to 12 inches of rainfall down in the Sandhills. That's a foot of rain in North Carolina, possibly. Doesn't mean we will, but the potential is there. National Weather Service in Raleigh just upped their potential 6 to 9 inches of rainfall. Okay, that's a lot of rain, and then it falls off as you head west into the mountains. Thank goodness they don't need the heavy rain in the mountains. That can cause flooding. And one of the problems we've got is the rainfall since June 1st. We were so dry in June, but July has been so wet that so far Raleigh's actually running 3.5 inches above average for this time of year. Fayetteville's just under 0.5 inch above average. That's not terribly above average, but when you get 6 to 9 inches of rainfall falling in one spot, it's got to run through your yard, down into the creeks and streams, down into the rivers. All that water has to go someplace, just like when everybody goes out to Walnut Creek and you go from the interstate down to the roads that take you into Walnut Creek and it all funnels into one spot. That's what's going to happen with this water. It's going to fall, it's going to be widespread, it's going to funnel into these areas, and so river flooding could be a problem into next week or the week after. We're going to have to wait and see, but the potential is there to see widespread flooding. As far as totals, anywhere from 6 to 12 inches possible. Jerry, I wish I could be a little more sure on that. If you tune in tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, we'll take a look at the models again. We'll see how much they've updated. And finally, we end every show with a viewer pick. This one's from the master, Scotty Alston. He takes amazing pictures, but look at this. He flew his drone up into the rain in Pittsboro, North Carolina, and was able to get a rainbow all the way around. I think that's amazing, and I wanted to show that to you because abc11.com/share. Over the next several days, if you have weather picks, we want to see them. Please go to abc11.com/share. That's going to do it for our weather show tonight. We always end with your first alert Doppler net. Not seeing much in the way of rainfall out there to speak, but that's going to change over the next couple of days, so be ready. We'll see you tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, right here. Same bat channel, same bat time for the weather show. Until then, stay safe out there and don't forget your umbrella tomorrow.